Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the Kaal Realty podcast. Invest smart, live luxuriously. This is your go-to space for smart real estate insights, luxury living tips, and global investment strategies. Whether you're exploring Dubai's property market, aiming for a golden visa, or just looking to grow your wealth wisely. If you're ready to take your lifestyle and investments to the next level, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Let's dive in.
Okay, picture this. You get a call, right? Someone's really keen, wants to launch their business in Dubai. But surprisingly, their first question isn't about the trade license or office space.
Yeah.
What is it then?
It's about getting a golden visa. And when you mention the standard investor visa, the one tied to actually setting up the company,
Blank stare.
completely unfamiliar. Like the golden visa is the only thing on their radar. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, definitely. Because that scenario, and we know this comes from someone with, over 13 years helping folks set up there.
Yeah.
It really highlights a super common point of confusion.
Exactly. It's fascinating, isn't it, how the golden visa has this magnetism. It often just overshadows these other perfectly good routes, like the investor visa.
Right. So this deep dive, using the info from that seasoned professional, is really about cutting through that noise for you, the listener, clarifying the essential differences. Absolutely. So our goal today for you is to get you a really clear understanding the differences, the pros, the cons, even the potential drawbacks of both the UAE investor visa and that much hyped golden visa.
Consider it your insider guide, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Navigating what feels complex sometimes. So let's start with the big one, the one grabbing the headlines, the golden visa. What exactly is it?
Okay, so essentially the golden visa, based on what our expert shared, it's a long-term residency permit. It gives you the right to live in the UAE for a good chunk of time, usually 5 or maybe 10 years.
Long term, okay.
Yeah, it's designed to attract and also keep, significant talent and investment in the country.
Right. And what are the sort of typical ways people qualify for this?
Well, the most common paths, according to the experience we're drawing on, they often involve a pretty substantial investment. Like real estate investment over 2 million AED is a big one.
2 million, okay.
Yeah. Then there's exceptional talent. And that can be broad, think advanced science, maybe cutting edge tech, artists, successful entrepreneurs doing really innovative stuff. And the third main one is salary. If you're earning at least 30,000 AED a month.
30,000 AED. Okay. So big investment, special talent, or a high salary. Are those the only ways?
They're the main ones encountered, yeah. There might be other nuances, but those are the big categories our source sees most often.
Got it. Okay, that paints a clear picture. Now, here's where it gets, really interesting for a lot of people, I think. What's a key benefit of the golden visa that maybe isn't obvious at first?
This is crucial. It's a major point of difference. With the golden visa, right, there's no mandatory requirement to, fly into the UAE every 6 months or anything just to keep it valid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In theory, you could be outside the UAE for quite a long time, and the visa itself stays active. Which is, huge flexibility for people with lots of international stuff going on.
Wow, okay. That is a big deal.
Right.
So you're not tied to constantly coming back if your life or business doesn't require it immediately.
Exactly. Massive flexibility.
Okay, that's a significant advantage. Now, let's switch gears. The investor visa. What's the lowdown on that one?
Right, the investor visa. So as our source explained it, this one is specifically for people who are shareholders in companies registered in the UAE.
So you set up a company, you hold shares.
You generally get an investor visa. That's the direct link.
Okay. And the duration. I feel like I heard that changed recently.
You're right on the money there. Yeah, our expert pointed that out. The duration, it has been adjusted. It's currently 2 years.
2 years, okay.
It was 3 years before, so that's definitely something to note.
Good to know. So shorter than the golden visa. What about renewal when those 2 years are up?
Renewal is generally pretty straightforward. As long as your company is, active, ticking along, complying with the rules, the investor visa can be renewed when it expires.
So the company's health keeps the visa going.
Basically, yes. Your ongoing business supports your continued residency.
Okay. Now, here's the critical bit, right? The thing that really separates these two, and the point our client in that initial story hadn't quite grasped. What's the major constraint with the investor visa?
This is the absolute heart of it. Unlike the golden visa, the investor visa comes with a mandatory physical presence requirement.
Ah, okay, mandatory presence.
Yes. Holders usually need to enter the UAE at least once every 6 months. Sometimes, in specific cases, it might be once a year, but that 6-month rule is the common one.
Every 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't meet that requirement, you risk the visa being canceled. So for someone maybe running things remotely, that 6-month check-in, that's a real logistical thing to factor in travel costs, time.
Right. So you can't just set up shop and then, run it entirely from overseas indefinitely. You have to make those regular trips.
Precisely. You need to physically be in the UAE periodically.
That is a huge practical difference. So, okay, just to crystallize it, both are renewable, fine. But the key why difference is whether you need to physically show up in the UAE regularly.
That's it. And that fundamental difference, that's what led that client we mentioned to zoom in on the golden visa, even though their main aim was setting up a business, where the investor visa is the more direct fit initially.
Which brings us back to that scenario analysis. So the client was thinking about dropping, $2 million plus AED on property just to get the golden visa and avoid those entry requirements.
Exactly.
What was the professional advice on that approach?
Well, the advice was pretty practical, really. Investing that kind of significant capital in real estate only to get the visa, it might not be the most financially sensible route, especially if you're not actually that interested in Dubai property as an investment, but just want residency for your business.
Yeah, that makes total sense strategically. Why tie up all that cash if the main goal is just residency to run your company? So what was the smarter alternative suggested?
The more kind of strategic path suggested was start by setting up the company. Get the investor visa that comes with it.
Okay, step one.
Step one, focus on building the business. Then, as the business grows, you might get to a point where you can draw a salary over that 30,000 AED threshold.
And that opens up another door.
Exactly. That salary then gives you a clear pathway to potentially upgrade from the investor visa to the golden visa based on your income.
Right, a phased approach. Start with the business links visa, then maybe transition later using a different golden visa criterion like salary. That sounds much more cost effective.
That's the logic. Why make that massive property investment up front if your own company's success could open the golden visa door later anyway?
Yeah, it seems almost counterintuitive to force the real estate investment if the business itself is the main focus.
Precisely. It's about finding the most efficient path. The expert was basically saying, why commit to that big real estate spend when other routes, potentially less capital-heavy routes, to the golden visa exist down the line? And in the meantime, the investor visa lets you operate. You just need to manage those entry trips.
Okay. Now, you mentioned salary and real estate for the golden visa, but it's not only those, is it? Our source mentioned other ways in.
Oh, yeah, good point. Definitely important to remember. Our expert did highlight that you can also be eligible based on high-level educational qualifications or having, specialized skills in certain key sectors the UAE is focused on.
So it broadens the pool a bit beyond just, say, high net worth investors or top earners right from day one.
Absolutely. It opens it up to people with specific expertise or academic achievements, too.
Okay. So for any business owners listening now, maybe planning their Dubai move, the initial advice seems pretty consistent then.
Yeah.
Seriously, look at the investor visa first as the direct route for your business.
Right. Get that sorted.
And then explore those potential golden visa pathways as your business finds its feet or as your circumstances change.
That really sums up the core guidance from our expert's perspective. It aligns the visa with the immediate needs setting up and running the business, but keeps those future, maybe more flexible residency options on the table.
Okay, so let's sort of recap this deep dive for everyone listening. The absolute fundamental difference, the thing you really need to grasp, between the UAE investor visa and the golden visa. It boils down to those physical presence rules and often the initial investment needed.
Yeah. Golden visa equals more flexibility on being outside the UAE, but usually needs that big upfront investment or the high salary or that exceptional talent criteria met.
Whereas the investor visa is directly tied to owning your company, but it comes with that string attached. You got to visit the UAE regularly, usually every 6 months.
Which leads to the vital question you, the listener, need to consider. Looking at your own situation right now and your longer-term goals regarding the UAE, especially how often you realistically can or want to be physically present, and your investment strategy. Which visa type actually fits your needs best?
That's the key calculation, isn't it? Really something crucial to think about as you map out your plans.
Yeah.
And hey, if this whole idea of setting up a company in Dubai has got you thinking, Definitely keep an ear out for our future discussions. We'll be diving into the nitty-gritty, the costs, the benefits involved in actually setting up shop there.
It's good.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.